Well, I'm excited to have this interview with Fallon, and she's going to share about her magic, what she's doing in the world, and she's going to open up a lot of topics that we're all super excited because it's about the new paradigm of leadership and consciousness and how we navigate this transition to the new world, to the new earth, right? It is happening, and we are the leaders, and that's why we're in this group. And I would like beforehand to ask you, Fallon, to tell us what is your core work? What is your sole purpose, your sole business right now? What are you focusing on? So we all have absolute clarity
I
about that.
love that. And I love that that's exactly what we said because that's what I'm celebrating right now. Fallon as a falcon, it's the name that my soul chose when I came in to use my gift of precision. So being able to see, feel, and experience where your blocks are and understanding that wherever that energy is stuck, it's going to cause stuck points in other areas. So, maybe I'm working with a client on attracting more money, attracting more clients. We're going to go back to the basics. Like, how are you treating your body? How are you talking to your body? What is going on in your house? Like that full holistic approach where I can, like, my natural precision is like, I can see where we need to go, but we need to cover kind of these bases and then go straight in and like get rid of the block and then allow that to catapult all of the other growth and expansion. And so when we are in the new earth, right? And like we don't know tomorrow, like the banks could just never exist and like decide they don't want to give us our money. So for me, it's about myself and then everybody understanding that your frequency is your currency and the way that currency is going to change. And I can only speak to the US and I have a few friends in
Mm.
Canada who I talk to about this stuff. But if your frequency is your currency and you are a light worker and you are serving in this beautiful capacity and you have this expanded, beautiful level of consciousness, is that reflected in all the different parts of your life? And especially when it comes to you being taken care of financially, right? And not just like survival, but thriving.
Mhm.
And before we hit record, we're talking about, there's going to be these beautiful gifts that you have where that's you have a main one or two things that you contribute to the community, like you with tantra, like me with energy healing, or any other kind of cognitive process that can be used to find where that specific block is, why it's occurring, and then allowing to clear it. And then someone else, they might be doing the farming, someone else might be doing artwork. I was telling someone else in our group how cool it is when you have an energy healing session or tantra or whatever, but like what if someone after that session could actually like channel an art piece that reflected who you are now in this new frequency, and
Mm.
that person who did the artwork, that's their contribution. Someone's watching the kids, someone's taking care of the pool that we definitely need to have in the community. Like everyone's really contributing in what it's almost like this old world of how you're contributing with your gifts, but
Mhm.
without the lack and the scarcity and the poverty and the patriarchy. Like everyone is literally living their purpose, thriving together, and then also being allowed to change, right? Like if I decide overnight that like I just want to be a teacher and like work with the kids and not do some of the other things I was doing before, we're in this community where of course we're going to support each other. Like, oh my God, cool, this new gift turned on for you and you're going to do a 360. How are we going to flow through that change as a community? And
Mm.
just everything is based on solving problems together from a balanced feminine and masculine place.
Mm. That's amazing. So beautiful. So you are serving the new leaders, the leaders of the new consciousness and new
Mm-hmm.
earth who are on the sole purpose, who understand why they're here, what they're here to offer. They live from the place of their, you know, essence of who they are, and they offer
Mm-hmm.
that, right? And that can might shift in terms of how it being offered and what exactly it is, but that deep essence of who you are and why you're here as like aligned with your soul path, you help people to get deeper with that and like remove all the blockages, clear the path, support them, expand, right? So many people holding back because like all kinds of stuff, like unworthiness, right? Like thing, or any kind of trauma, or which wound is really powerful, right? It's ancestral
Very.
wound that gets activated. Like if I will be in my power and share my true gifts, which might be very different from how the society is set up, I'll be punished, right? So this is still
Yeah,
inside of our DNA that we're still releasing. So your work is really beautiful because that's what we need right now. We need to release those blockages and not to be fearful, to look a little bit radical, right? Sometimes it's
exactly.
like, oh, is it too radical? Will people misunderstand? I personally had experiences when I felt like, I need to be more careful because, they say, good intentions, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Is because, even good intentions can be distorted by the perception of somebody who is not aligned, right? So
Hmm.
by creating this community and receiving like your support, I feel people can feel more safe to step into that and know like, okay, this person knows my truth. So you kind of confidante that hold space for them, and that they know that no, I'm aligned, I'm going for it. And
Yeah,
even if somebody will have distorted understanding of what I'm doing, I've got my back covered, right?
exactly. Yeah. And I love that you spoke to the witch wound because that's one of kind of like the newer things that I really feel like I've done a lot of that healing. And it was some of the hardest stuff that I've done.
Mm.
And so if that does relate to you, where you are coming out with your gift, which sometimes is so easy and so obvious that we don't even realize like this is the gift, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell people like, this is what you call yourself in your title now. This is the type of business. But back when you were 13, 14, you're babysitting, or like maybe you bagged groceries and then you did another job. Like, what was the thing that consistently people would say about you, compliment you on, give you comments? That's your actual job. Like for me, it was always, was told you have a beautiful smile and you make me feel happy.
Mm.
So if that's my job, is to help people feel happy and to smile and just be myself, that's the actual frequency. That's my actual job. That is reflected in the currency. So it
Mm.
seems so simple, but that's the whole reason why the old systems make us feel like everything in life has to be so hard and complicated, because
Mm.
that's a complete opposite of our truest essence. It really
Mm-hmm.
gets to be easy. Like the thing that is so easy to you that you don't understand how other people think it's hard, that's the reason that you have that gift, because it's
Mm.
meant to be easy.
Yeah, that I love that so much. And that's actually a big challenge for many people. Like I work
Mm-hmm.
now with apprentices who like learning Tantra and discovering their gifts. And obviously people who are drawn to Tantra have certain qualities, right? That connect us and like, okay, we are the same kind of people, right?
Yeah,
we're wired this way. So, and for some people it was so easy and that it was so like that's who they are, that it's just like I had this experience when this apprentice showed up, and it was like first time actually doing this retreat, and I was like totally like nobody believed it was their first time. It's like, what, first time? It's like you showed up like a pro. But it's because of that innate gift. I had that
yeah,
too. Like I had situations many times when people thought that I'm like the mature, like seasoned facilitator with something, and it was my first time. It's because it's my gift. I was born with it, and I've been doing this for all my life, but I was not charging, or I didn't create like an offer with it, but
exactly.
people benefited from this,
Mm-hmm.
already just being in relationship with me in different, connection situations. So this is so true. And then, yeah, I've worked with some people who like working on that kind of like stepping into their power and actually receive money for that, and they feel so bad receiving money because they're like,
Yeah,
but I'm just being myself. It's like, well, that's exactly what we need, and this work doesn't mean to, it's not meant to drain us.
right.
It's meant to inspire us to show up more and more and more. And we have infinite amount of energy coming through us when we aligned and we serve like this. So yes, we're meant to receive from that, but because we use this currency, whatever money, to build more of this energy and impacts more lives, right?
Exactly. And like the true test for me and is like a testament to where you're really at in your worthiness journey and how much you've healed that relationship with money is if you just overnight inherited $500 million from some uncle that you didn't know existed, would you feel like you could actually receive that? Are you feeling a little like someone just kicked you in the stomach? Because most people who win the lottery piss it all away within a year because they're
Mm-hmm.
vibrationally, their frequency can't hold it because they don't feel worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always tell people, like, we're working on this relationship with you receiving. We got to make sure that your body and your frequency are ready first. Then
Mm-hmm.
it comes in, right? Just like everything else in Earth 3D
Yeah.
manifestation, right? Like you have to be in
Yeah.
the frequency first before you can receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we think of money as limitless, like, and we think of how much we can contribute as limitless, why wouldn't that make sense, right? Like the hermetic laws of the world, like they just make
Mm-hmm.
sense, right? Like the
Yeah.
duality of everything.
Yeah. That's such a great topic that I've been contemplating a lot as well. Like, why we like really, you know, worried that how much money is actually even changing our frequency. I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the next, phase of our evolution, and that's the new Earth. It's about connecting to the abundance of the universe, being feeling that the universe is abundant. Look at the nature and everything, like infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and that is already here. So money, it's a product of human culture. And human culture hasn't been healthy for thousands of years, and it's
Exactly.
been corrupted. So like if it's a million, a billion, or trillion, it doesn't need to change our frequency. It doesn't need to affect us who we are. It doesn't need to affect us of how we show up. And for me personally, that's the destination that I'm still working on, because we went through different times. There were like
Yeah.
lots of money, and then there was none. All those like all
Yeah.
kinds of phases. And my focus always been like, no, it's who I am. It's not what I have. So my goal was to work through that conditioning that my value is connected to how much money I have or what I own. What we own. Owns us, right? So to be free, and I actually found my old diary where I actually wrote down that I want to make lots of money and I want to lose it all and I want to make it again, and to
Wow.
show myself that I'm free of that kind of like conditioning of having or not having. It's like
That's
totally
incredible.
manifested that.
Wow.
So yes, that I feel like what you're doing and helping people with my frequency is my currency. That's exactly that. That's freedom from this money conditioning and how much we idealize money, making it an idol or a religion. Or people can kill for like $5,000, or I don't know, even
Exactly.
less.
Exactly. And not necessarily the people that are going to watch this, but just in general, and like, well, like there's so many evil people in the world that have a lot of money. And it's like, well, it's because divine love isn't the highest frequency, it's authenticity. Kim
Mm,
Kardashian is very authentic with, in my opinion, just being a very like horrible, dark person who's worth $3 billion. So if she's working for the dark, wouldn't it make sense that someone who's in full divine perfect love have $3 billion to counteract that, right? Like that's
mhm,
the reason that light leaders need more money, because that's how we're going to make a difference in that
mhm,
scale. Like, the justice card, right? Like
mhm,
very basic understanding of what we need to do. And again, it's just sometimes it seems so easy. And I know for me, like this has been like very recent in the last few months of like, if I can heal something for someone for 2 minutes, and I literally just say like this very specific sentence that I've been instructed by God to say, and it takes away their physical pain, like
mm,
that's really easy, right?
It's easy for
And
you. It's not
yeah,
easy for me. I
exactly.
don't know
And
how to do
it
it.
was hard for me to like own that. And it's still like I'm still, kind of feeling like someone punched me in the stomach a little bit. But that's the reason that I'm learning this lesson, and who you're listening, you have a specific lesson to learn when you're getting to that next step in your growth process and your expansion process. Because if, in essence, right, like if I can heal some big stuff in less than 2 minutes by saying one prayer, and you pay
Mm.
me like a pittance compared to like what you would pay if you went to a billion other doctors, think of how many people I can heal in a day,
Mhm.
you know?
Exactly. Yes, the
So it's me, it would be
impact.
only me allowing my witch wound to take over if I didn't allow this to be the thing that I get to help people with.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's owning, like that can be confusing. So how would
Yeah.
you work with it so closely? So how would you guide people on this journey in terms of like monetizing their gifts in this transitional phase, right? So we still have the money, we still like living in this matrix, mainstream culture, that we still pay our bills, and then we have these gifts that like miraculous, right? Like even in our group, like we just had our session, right? Our group
Yeah.
mycelial session, it was like so many gifted women, like such a high frequency. So how would you guide people to monetize uh, their gifts and like create an offer so they feel they can step into that on that level of
Mm.
being the healer, being that conduit, being that service to the world, and also accumulate like wealth, like I call it sacred wealth around this new paradigm, new leadership, new community that we're building. How would you guide them to like, okay, don't be afraid to charge this and own it? How do you guide them in that space?
So this has just been my experience, and the few clients that have started implementing this since all this bigger stuff kind of happened in the last few months, is allowing, like, definitely work with someone if you need help with the permission. Most of the people that I work with, they just need permission to charge what
Mm-hmm.
they want to charge for the service, and making it very clear, right? Like when I realized, like when my precision turned on and I got a very clear message, precision is what you're supposed to do, I was like, okay, so peel back the layers, right? If I'm trying to sell a coaching package, let's say I'm trying to sell like a 6-month package, but I know that I'm going to make major shifts in the first call with them, and there might be someone that's all that they need. So why wouldn't I create an offer that's just a one-time healing, a one-time coaching session, so that people that need that can have that? And then if they want to continue doing more, they can. But I was in scarcity, right? Like if I don't have a
Mm-hmm.
client committed for this amount of time, like I'm not going to make an impact,
Mm-hmm.
which of course makes no logical sense based on what I just shared, right? Like if I
Mm-hmm.
can help somebody heal in 2 minutes, and even if I only decided to work for a few hours a day, that's a lot of people I can help with a very cheap offer, compared to the scarcity of feeling like I have to help only a few people at this higher price point. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I made that shift, it was huge. And I actually like pretty much deleted like 80% of my website. So I'm like, if this is what I really want to help people with, like I just need to make it super, super simple. Same with like my Instagram bio. Like, where can you simplify the offer based on what's easy and simple for you to help them with?
Mm. I love that so much because our conditioning from the culture and the systems, like you have to put tons of value, tons of hours to justify, how much you charge. It's like, no,
Yeah,
it's actually, I would rather pay for like 2 minutes and be healed rather than spend the whole year of doing hard work, of doing all these diets and like all this stuff and pay lots of money. It's like, what is better? It's like just it's a
exactly.
common sense even, right? So it's like stepping away from that and owning that, like that you can offer that and it works, and owning that, like of course it's more attractive if you think about it, right?
Yeah. And like
Mm-hmm.
you saying you wanted to make a bunch of money, lose it, and then make it again, like I kind of said, wouldn't it be so fun to just like literally blast someone with God's perfect divine love and heal all of these things so they don't need anything from me for a while? And that's what happened. I mean, there's people I'm like, hey, just checking to make sure you're okay. Like, we just did this session a few days ago, and I might not hear from them for a few days. And they're like, oh my God, all these beautiful things happened. And I'm so sorry. Like, I lost track of time. I feel like I'm on this whole new timeline. And I'm like, I just wanted to make sure you were good. And every single person I've done that with, it's like, I did blast them with light, and it blasted all of these blind spots.
Mhm.
And they're basically just like recalibrating to this completely new way of living, which is exactly what I was hoping I would have a gift of doing. So
Mhm.
obviously I needed to honor that and be like, oh wow, like that really happened a lot faster than I was expecting.
Right, right. Wow, amazing. So I would like to um, have a little bit more like conversation, because this is so rare when there is opportunity to talk about it. It's like, how do we see transforming money system and money value in the new paradigm? Because it's not going to be the same, and it's like it's a different structure of the society, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more like mycelial network, it's more like ecosystem. It's everyone knows they have value to the community, everyone feels integrated and seen and supported, right? So how do you, it is a little bit like, maybe it's not like utopian question, but it's more like
I love that. No,
playing
that's
with the
exactly what it
ideas,
is.
like, because I feel urgency personally in my body, like in
Yes,
my feminine
same.
body, because I do tantra. Yeah, I think many of us feel like, I feel urgency to transform the essence of money, because like I don't like the way it is now. Like I feel, what do we want it to be? Like how do we want it? How do we align our frequency with whatever currency we try to use in exchanging gifts and services?
Yeah. So, in just short answer, I would say just divine partnership, right? Like divine partnership with yourself, divine partnership with money, divine partnership with where you live, like the land where you live, and then, divine partnership as far as like divine masculine co-creating together. And you're like the best, most perfect person to speak on that for sure. But with that comes, divine romantic partnership, like what you talk about, like tantra and connection, and of all of the things, all the vibrations that are great for manifesting, like mid orgasm is the best time to manifest something. So if for
Mm.
some reason you just scream out $50,000 during the middle of sex, like that's going to be kind of like the new normal when we start looking at these different templates of what sex actually really is, right? Because right
Mhm.
now, like, at least again in the US, like it's just perceived in a very, I don't even know the word, but if people understood energetically what truly happens when you have sex with another person, they would understand that there's a lot of opportunity to shift that. And again, like I'm obsessed with Larry David. If I have any Larry David fans out there, please let me know. And I was watching the episode this morning of Curb Your Enthusiasm where they talked about this woman with a magical vagina. And I was like, well, we all have magical vaginas if we raised our frequency and we're doing this work and we understood how precious it was, we would definitely pay a lot more attention to who and what had access to it.
Mhm.
And also that whole topic of like sacral creativity and all of that. Like, I just also want to speak to this. Like, the Tantra session I had with you was one of the most healing, cleansing things for me. And there's some people who might know me well and be like, oh, I could totally see you doing Tantra. Like, that sounds like something you'd be super into. And it's like, it's actually like one of the most like terrifying things, because I knew that I needed to heal my
Mm.
sacral. And that was kind of one of the things that I was kind of putting off. But I feel like this divine partnership is coming in hot, and it could be with a person, it could be with the land, it could be with money, like it could be anything. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Like, the universe showed me, and you offered a session. So of course I was like, this is exactly what I was asking the universe. Like, what do I need to get to the next level? And like, just what was happening energetically down there was like absolutely crazy, and really just helped me step into this very new template of myself where, you know, practice what you preach, right? But also like, oh wow, like I don't even realize how powerful I am. And especially now when I can heal people with my mind, like, can you
Yeah.
imagine like the boundaries I would have now of being with somebody versus like in the past, like I would literally just go out, get drunk, have sex with a random person. Like, different timeline, obviously, but that's part of my story. And so I share that because I think that's an important piece, is like, there's a lot of things that you and your clients are probably going through, and it's a pretty good chance that I have teetered on whatever that issue is. But healing is always possible. I believe healing, absolutely everything is always possible, and that all you have to do is say yes. And when it comes to sovereignty and pleasure, creativity, like, that has to be a baseline of what you do every single day in your life. Like 100%. It's not a luxury. Getting a massage once a month is not a luxury. Like, we need to be receiving massages. This is so crazy. I woke up in the middle of the night and this was something very clear that I had to share. In ancient Egypt, like, we would literally lay there and we would have multiple people massaging us. And we would all take turns doing this. Like, you were kind of sharing before we hit record about like the Tantra experience, like the experience at the retreat. Like, we're meant to be receiving at a level that we do not even comprehend now. We see it as a luxury when it's actually a necessity. And just, again, every day, like, the things that happen in one day in my life and the life of a lot of people in my network, it's like you live like a whole different life. It's like
It's
days
like
a week is a month.
sort of lifetimes, right?
Yeah, and that's how it's meant to be when you're accessing more of this true essence that is just inside of you, waiting to be turned on. 98% of our DNA is not on. And that is the dark energy. Like, they literally programmed us for that reason. And so when we start doing this healing, we're actually turning on dormant DNA. And you can even command it. You're like, hey, God, please turn on any dormant DNA that is ready to be turned on for my highest and best, effective immediately, and like, see what shifts with you, because we really are limitless beings. And the more that we heal, the more DNA that's going to get turned on. That's why when you start owning one of your gifts, more turn on. Then you start owning those gifts and then more turn on. Like, it's because you're turning on more DNA. Everything's already inside of you. And I know that that's like a thing that cheesy people say in spirituality, but from a science perspective of like what it means to be a human being, I'm sharing that because human beings are the most pristine and perfect beings that are known in like any galaxy. Why do you think so many people or so many beings come to visit us? Why do you think AI is trying so hard to impersonate a human? But it's absolutely impossible, because we are the most incredible technology that's ever been created and ever will be created. So imagine us now, where most people are functioning without 98% of their DNA turned on. If even just this small group of 40 women does that, and they turn on even just 30 more pieces of their DNA, imagine what's going to happen, right? So again, that's where we're talking about the frequency as your currency. It would make zero sense for you to be operating at this high frequency. Just to give a little perspective as far as like a number, Jesus walked around at like 700 hertz energy frequency. So if you're getting even close to 600, that's better than, 99% of the planet. And you literally just do that by being yourself and asking to receive more, to receive more healing, more activations. That's going to equal money. It's all about just the laws of the natural universe.
Oh my God, I have these goosebumps and these vibrations in my body. It's like, yes, I feel it now. Actually, it's like it's all awakening in this moment as well. And it just starts to like respond, right? To the invitation, to the communication. Sometimes I see everything through relationships. So it's like my body is responding to this relationship, to this invitation, because it's there already, right?
Exactly.
And I love that you are actually a neuroscience professional and you work with brain and you have a background. So it's like this person is like knows what she's talking about, and at the same time you own the frequency of this complete surrender to the divine, right? It's like you being a channel of the wisdom that comes through us as well. The whole connection to the quantum fields, and this is where the divine resides, right? So I just wanted to emphasize, like, Fallon actually has a really deep background in all of this, and also she's activated spiritually, and I feel like we need another conversation, part two, because we have so many topics to to
I
talk
know.
about. Yes, wow. Thank you so much for this sharing. And yeah, maybe we'll tune in. Let's see. Maybe we'll have some questions from women in our community about this topic. That's my favorite topic right now.
Yeah.
Um, healing sex and money in our society, this healing the earth. And that's where this key, the lock and the key,
Yep.
located. So thank you so much, Fallon, for this interview. This
Absolutely. Thank
amazing.
you. And I'm like, people asking me questions is literally my favorite thing in the world. So, like I said, when we have this community, like a physical place, like I will be at the pool and you can just come visit me and ask me questions and I will serve you. Like, so please,
Yeah.
please reach out anytime.
Maybe you can share what session you offer to have a taste of your magic so women
Yeah.
can book that.
Yeah. So an immediate healing session, it's the first thing you see when you go to fallonjordan.com. And the promo code is Lana Network. And so just so you have the experience, and then any client, I don't know anyone who does this. It was something, again, that I had to think differently and peel back the layers of what makes the most sense to be of the best service. So anyone who clicks on that, and obviously you guys don't have to pay for it, but if a client did, so within 24 hours, I will send them healing for whatever is ailing them, whether it's neck pain, back pain, maybe they're going through a difficult time, they're trying to make a big decision. So I'll send them the energy healing. And then you'll also get an audio note of all of the things that came up. And there's usually like a little homework. So like I had a client who had very significant psoriasis and gout on her feet. And so we cleared that. And when I asked the angels, like, okay, so like if this starts to come back and like the core feeling that was attributed of when this all started comes back, what can she do? And I thought it was so cute because like I've love kids and like everything about Divine Child. And it was like, I can't show you, but like you're pitter pattering your feet, like you're
Mhm.
kind of having like a little tantrum kind of. And
Yeah.
so she's done that a couple times. I was curious how that was going to work for her. I said, hey, just keep me posted the couple times that you do that. And she said she would do it. It's only happened twice, and whatever was starting to come in just never came in. She hasn't had any more psoriasis or gout issues since. So it's not just about the healing stuff now. It's like when this pops up again, I want you to do this. And it's something, it's always something simple. It's always something that is going to make you look crazy if you're like in the grocery store. Like that's the thing too. If it gets to be easy and it's divinely supported, the angels know people are going to, in the matrix, they're not going to be happy if you're in the grocery store going like this, because that was what you're supposed to do. Like they make it really simple so that it's stuff that you can take care of at any time, anywhere.
Mm. Yeah, so powerful. So also owning that,
Yeah.
key that they receive to
Yeah.
heal themselves, and being sovereign in their own body to be able to heal themselves.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Fawn. I can't wait to have more conversations with you, actually.
Me too. I'm so excited. Very grateful.